but it can't be enough for them to simply slap on the badges of BLM or some other woke cause and not address the fundamental issue: economic inequality, spiritual detachment from reality. You wander into a shop or a store and it means nothing to you anymore. You have no connection to where your food comes from. You have no connection to where information comes from. You have no connection to your neighbors. You are an atomized consumer existing in this world solely to make purchases.
It's such a mix, right? Like some of the things he's saying, yes, absolutely. I completely agree. Based. And then all of a sudden it's like, and this is why we have a strong cultural detachment to the issues. And then you're like, whoa, wait, it's all over the place. Apparently Dave Chappelle got attacked. Yeah, that's right. The discourse has returned, everybody. Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle being attacked on stage. Are we seeing consequences of anti-free speech fundamentalism?
Can I say before whatever the enlightened yoga centrist version of the take is that I do not think that you should physically attack people on stage at their shows. I am thoroughly against that. Even if I think Dave Chappelle, Freudian slip. Even if I think Dave Chappelle is spouting a horrifying amount of bigotry these days towards the trans community, that doesn't mean that I think if you're going to people's shows that it's right to just jump on stage and punch them in the face.
Hello there, you 5.6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this journey of discovery and inquiry. Uncertain at the moment as to what is correct and right, but knowing that it will involve coming together and being able to hold apparently opposing ideas in your mind simultaneously, like traditionalism versus progressivism.
Of course he did.
Like allowing people to say stuff you disagree with, like allowing people to identify it in ways that might be novel, new, evolving, emergent, unusual. This incident is an interesting one because it gives us an opportunity to analyze the way that our culture is devouring itself. A Ouroboros, a self-consuming serpent that lays out rules, new regulations that seem not to chime or vibe or align with the way that some people want to live. Before we get into that, I want to thank all 5.6 million of you for following us. I want to make sure that if you're not a subscriber yet, you should subscribe. And
blah, blah, blah. Lance, do you have a crush on Russell Brand? No, he's not my type in any way, shape, or form. He's someone who's actively pushing a lot of weird misinformation on millions of people.
Like Will Smith, he's lovely, but it can't be right to attack someone on stage, can it? Let's have a look what's happened now to beloved Dave Chappelle.
Breaking news tonight at the Hollywood Bowl. You're looking at aerial pictures here of a man who rushed the stage while comedian Dave Chappelle was performing. He tackled Dave Chappelle.
History.
Chappelle appearing in a comedy show there to a packed house. He has been there over the weekend. I actually attended one of the shows on Saturday night.
I actually went myself. It was a good...
Why is he your go-to for entertainment news? Because most likely it's going to be wrong, and then I can push back against his commentary. But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, as an enlightened centrist, he's bound to get the right opinion every now and then. He does fall upon that, but most of the time he's usually in the weird, let's just say, conspiracy theory light version of the internet. Cryptocurrency is amazing and will save us from centralized currency. You know, Bill Gates and everyone is trying to control you through vaccines.
Good night. When you watch this kind of footage, are you getting the sense of a dystopia unfolding around you? A hyper-reality where celebrity court cases are entertainment, where ongoing
And that's a new thing. It's never happened before. My word, yeah, this is just a fascinating part in human history where all of a sudden a whole bunch of people were more concerned with the lives of celebrities than they were about the happenings and goings around them. Yes, that's definitely brand new. Never noticed that before.
Epidemics fluctuate in their significance, where wars are very, very important one moment and then drift out of your consciousness the next, where comedians are attacked on stage just months after we saw a high-profile actor attack a high-profile comic for making what seemed at the time like a relatively innocuous, if perhaps somewhat insensitive joke. What is happening to...
This one goes a little bit more onto the conservative side of things, where they usually do point out, because I mean, people have eyes and they're aware of the world around them, that things are getting quite fucked, but they're usually going to say, well, rather than the causes of this, mass alienation, the problems of capitalism, money being concentrated into the hands of the very few, all those kind of things, well, do you not feel that something is just afoot? Something strange in your neighborhood, right? I mean, who are you going to call? It seems very bizarre. There's all these things happening, and now And now things that never would have happened before are happening. It's like now people are attacking one another for simply saying things. It's an utter bizarre.
Our culture, we are in this continual state of fraught conflict and uncertainty with no principles to return to, no recourse to a set of shared values that we all know.
Okay, no recourse. I'm sure the dude who tried to attack Dave Chappelle on stage probably A, got the shit beat out of him by the security staff, and then B, may be facing criminal charges. I'm guessing this is not, I mean, I don't know yet. You know, I'm just discovering the story for the first time.
Basically correct. We are defined at this time by
yeah.
oppositionism. Here's where I stand. I would say that anybody should be able to identify however they want to. And by that same principle of freedom, a comedian on stage should be able to say whatever they want to say. If you want the right to say whatever you want to say, you should respect the right of people to identify.
Broken arms, it seems. He's still in the hospital. Yeah, that's what I'd expect. I mean, like, if you're going to rush a show, like a comedian of that stature at their own show, the security staff is going to beat the fuck out of you.
However they want to identify, and vice versa. If you want the personal freedom to be whoever you are, free from imaginary...
That should be a principle that you want to remain safe without both your arms broken. Don't rush celebrities on stages, rock stars, comedians. Their staff they will beat the fuck out of you.
Constructed restraints, then you should recognize that some people are going to say stuff. Now, unless we can get to that point where people are willing to look at the other perspective instead of fiercely guarding their own, we do not...
Well, it's not even a, like, what is right or what is just. I'm just giving you a warning in sense, like, I'm not saying that this is a good thing. I'm saying this is what will happen.
Have a culture anymore. We have a sort of vibrating conflict, a kind of burgeoning confrontation just waiting to be born. We're a constrained explosion, no real alliance. And recognize that there are other cultural ideas in this world, Chinese state communism, fundamentalist religious ideologies, that are pretty clear about what they believe in, what they believe is right, what they believe is wrong. So as our Western culture falls into decline, and while I recognize that it was necessary to address institutional ideas around race and gender and sexuality, there's been a lot of corruption, a lot of unfairness, rampant capitalism is out of control, centralized power of big tech, big media, big business, big pharma is ridiculous. It's gotten out of hand. But it can't be enough for them to simply slap on the badges of BLM or some other woke cause and not address the fundamental issue: economic inequality, spiritual detachment from reality. You wander into a shop or a store and it means nothing to you anymore. You have no connection to where your food comes from. You have no connection to where information comes from. You have no connection to your neighbors. You are an atomized consumer existing in this world solely to make purchases.
It's such a mix, right? Like, some of the things he's saying, yes, absolutely. I completely agree. Based. And then all of a sudden it's like, and this is why we have a strong cultural detachment to the issues. And then you're like, whoa, wait, it's all over the place.
Stare dumbly and numbly at screens. And as long as that's your reality, then the titillation and stimulation of sort of trials about important things, but personal things, or attacks on stage.
You did a video on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, didn't you? Yeah. It's the last video. Depp versus Heard distraction. What I've realized. Okay. You're the first person to realize. Oh, you need another one. Russell Brand reacts to Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. So here, you're just doing what everyone else does, which is you're reacting to it for content, and then a couple of videos later, I realized it was a distraction. Well, no shit. How enlightened. I'm glad. I'm glad you went through your process.
Will be deemed significant. We are watching the spectacle eat itself. We have to create our own connections, our own communities. We have to rediscover our own values. We have to detach ourselves from this illusion and discover what is real, or we're all doomed.
The controversial comedian has been controversial for much of his career. His remarks lately involving LGBTQ community have sparked some outrage, and he has been unapologetic about that, except saying that he has a lot of love and respect for the LGBTQ plus community.
Dave Chappelle's job is to take us to places of uncertainty, liminal spaces, pose questions and ideas, and invite us to make inquiry about them. What is right? What is wrong? Who are we?
His job is to entertain people. That's like, he's a comedian. Why do we keep talking about comedians as if they are like the arbiters of shifting the Overton window? Don't get me wrong. It's incredible when you have someone at the top of their craft, like a Richard Pryor, who's capable of going on stage, speaking truth to power, making people question a lot of the things that they may take for granted, changing or flipping the paradigm, awakening people to new ideas and thoughts. That is an incredible thing. Many comedians have done that throughout history. But we also shouldn't elevate them to these like untold deities who are the ones who are basically going to transcend the common parlance in order to be able to get you to realize and awaken into the real world, you know?
You don't think those questions are relevant? I suppose if you are a person who...
comedians aren't the only ones who do that. And the ones who do that, yes, it should be like praised, absolutely. But they're not the only ones. There's real world activists who spend their entire lives not telling and making jokes and getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do so, but just being on the front line of issues trying to change the world.
Feels personally offended by Chappelle, then I suppose what I would do, because I've had, by the way, comedians literally attack me, not in the abstract. Russell Brand is I've had that happen, and what I feel is I don't like it very much, actually. But I suppose what you have to do is look at what's in that person's heart. What is in the heart of Dave Chappelle? Do you think that Dave Chappelle is a bad person?
I'm a massive Dave Chappelle fan. I grew up. He's one of my biggest inspirations. He genuinely inspired me at a very young age to realize that comedy had so many powers to transcend common narratives and awaken people to issues, especially if you're doing it through laughter. Make them feel good while at the same time entertaining and teaching them something. That's incredible. And as someone, again, who is a monstrously huge Dave Chappelle fan, I can say wholeheartedly, his pivot in the last little while to targeting and punching down towards the trans community is utterly disgusting. It really is. It shows a complete lack of listening to feedback or criticism and simply stating that because you're the GOAT and you have all this untold power, that you're unwilling to listen to those outside of your inner circle or your echo chamber. And that's not a good thing.
Some weird, permanent, concrete way that's different from other people. I don't. I think Dave Chappelle is a brilliant person asking important questions, and you've got to try.
Okay, I think I've heard all of his commentaries, but what happened? I just want to know the actual story, not the spin. I don't want to watch ET Canada. Or even worse, TMZ. God, what could be worse? Hey, let's watch Philip DeFranco. We've never watched him on stream.
I am loved. I am safe. I am free. I don't need to be like them. I just need to be like me.
A great thing I think that everyone should hear, except the idiot last night who made the incredibly poor decision to try to attack Dave Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl. And try is the key word.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for hip-hop history.
Holy shit.
I am going to kill that.
So Chappelle kind of absorbs the blow, sheds the tackle a little bit. He still goes down, but right at this moment, I think the narrator hit this asshole with,
"It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up."
Because I don't know if Chappelle travels like this all the time, but when he goes to the Hollywood Bowl, he's running like 30 plus people deep minimum. A video taken from multiple angles appears to show some of that 30 plus just taking turns stomping this guy down backstage. And I just wonder, like, what did this guy think was gonna happen? Like, was he gonna be able to somehow fight off the group like that self-defense guy on TikTok? Because I don't imagine that he thought his night was gonna end with Jamie Foxx, Busta Rhymes, and Dave Chappelle treating him like Rick James treats a couch. Now, for legal reasons, I'll say we don't know exactly who stomped him.
Let me see this article Kubi just sent. Just came out of the Hollywood Bowl where a man charged and tackled Dave Chappelle on stage and he got his ass kicked by at least 10 people. LAPD and LAFD are now loading him into an ambulance. The show was just ending when the man hopped on stage and ran at Chappelle from form, tackling him to the ground. The comedian had literally just said how he has more security because of all the uproar from his jokes about the trans community. Security AL rushed and started punching and kicking the shit out of Chappelle's attacker. He was just about to bring Talib Kweli and Mos Def for the encode, and we got a crowd. They were like, what the fuck is going on? Chappelle kept on while the guy was getting beat in the back. Sheer chaos. Then Jamie Foxx comes out in a cowboy hat, looking absolutely shocked, and Chappelle makes a joke about stomping the guy who is still getting beat up. Kweli and Mos Def do their set while the LAPD cruiser starts arriving behind the stage. Fucking wild. When we got out of the bowl and we got our phones out, LAPD and the medics were cordoning off the area and then loaded Chappelle's attacker, who looked to be strapped in a jacket and a chair, into an ambulance. Member of the crowd cussed him out. What is really surreal about this is that Chappelle talked about Chris Rock and the slap and the new reality facing comedians having more security with him and his wife being worried about him now. He did a whole bit about a crazy man coming to his house and chasing him down in his car. While the attacker was getting beat up, Chappelle made a joke about him probably being a trans man. Oh, Jesus Christ. clip of that here. Someone just ran on stage and attacked Dave Chappelle. Like, I think you can, this is one of those situations where you can call out two things simultaneously. Dave Chappelle continues to be a gross transphobe, making just horrendous jokes that punch down. And at the same time, yeah, the solution is not to jump on stage and try to fight someone.
But we do know what Chappelle said to the audience during and after.
I've been doing this 35 years. I just stomped the backstage. Always wanted to do that.
Also in attendance, you had Chris Rock there, hopping on stage for a second to ask a very important question.
Was that Will Smith?
And as far as the guy that attacked Chappelle, the picture of him after the beatdown is rough. That is not the right clip, but close. Here we go.
Oh, good. Just don't know if they'll get this TOS.
Held on $30,000 bail. An officer also confirming that he was injured but declining to provide details, though we can see some of it. But ultimately, that's really all we know right now.
And also, yeah, he should not be beaten to the point of having multiple arms broken by a team of 10 people behind the scenes. Detain the person, wait till the police show up and deliver him to the police. Like, multiple things can be wrong at once.
We don't know the motive of Isaiah. We don't know how this person slipped weapons past security at the Hollywood Bowl. But main thing, whether you like or dislike Dave, this is not okay. You know, it's kind of concerning that this seems like the beginning of a trend that Will Smith helped open the door on. If you don't like a comedian, you don't support them, or you say...
No, that one is not true. I mean, listen to Jake Flores, who's been a comedian his whole life. He's been attacked multiple times in his career, usually by right-wing chuds. He's been doxxed. Like, comedians of all levels, usually smaller comedians, have been dealing with this kind of stuff for a while now. This is just now becoming part of the conversation because it's happening to probably the most famous stand-up comedian.
Like, fuck
who's
you,
working
don't
today.
just attack them. Because if it already wasn't a bad idea because it was just wrong and it's illegal, it's now a bad idea because sometimes these comedians have entourages that will rearrange your body parts. Yeah, whether you like or you dislike Dave Chappelle, I'd love to know your thoughts on what happened last night, and maybe while you let me know, I'll say, sup, you beautiful bastards, welcome back to the Philippines.
All right. I think we got all the information on that one. I had so much respect for him growing up. I feel kind of weird now and bad about that. Not about the Chappelle show, but it all just feels tainted. I mean, here's the thing. I'm never going to stop loving Dave Chappelle's early stand-up routines, right? Especially, like, you know, I usually reference Killing Them Softly and some of the other stuff that he's done, and obviously the Chappelle show was a huge inspiration. I'm not going to stop the good nostalgic member berries that I get from those experiences, but yeah, I can definitely call out the fact that if you want to use your platform as, like I said, one of the most famous working stand-up comedians today to continuously punch down to the trans community, when multiple people have tried to explain to you why what you're doing is wrong on multiple different fronts, then, I mean, that just makes you a horrible person, ultimately. It's like, you hate to see it kind of shit. Do you enjoy the Serfs, but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.